Okay.
Chicka, chicka. Yeah.
Kill Bill and Rev. We don't suck.
Welcome back.
Welcome to the motherfucking show. It's the show. If you go down to the show, then you watch it on your television. Guaranteed that your television is hooked to YouTube or some other podcast streaming service. We don't suck.
Man, I really love how you pander to the juggalos every episode without fault.
Yo, dog. Motherfucking down for the clown. Whoop, whoop. Meet me at the gathering. Who's got the meth pipe?
Yeehaw, money rustlers.
Yo, you think ICP's ever done meth?
Yeah.
You think they've like dabbled in meth? I don't think they're meth heads, but I think maybe they've dabbled in methamphetamine use.
Yeah. Definitely.
Did you see that Cage was in the video on the Juggalo Cypher?
No. Is it new?
Yeah, it came out a little while ago. He has like a Guy Fawkes beard thing, mustache combo, goatee, if you will.
Oh no, really?
And he came out, dude. Okay, so it's like him, Stitches, somebody else, DJ Paul from 3-6 Mafia, and then like some juggalo, a Ouija Mac, who's like a trap juggalo, like SoundCloud rapper type dude. I actually don't really mind him that much, surprisingly. And then like them, and then is it Esham or Isham? It's Esham, right? Isham?
Nah.
The dude, you know the dude.
Sham.
Yeah, he's a sham. No, he was there. It was just like basically the horrorcore brigade and also Cage.
Right.
And he was in like a long. Oh yeah, and who else was there? What's that dude? He was on Ellen. Mac Lethal was there.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was some shit, man. It was like Mac Lethal was dressed like Hitman.
What?
Like, it was like
please tell me Cage killed it.
Cage actually, I'd say his verse was the best, but it was like, dude, the beat didn't. It was dumb. Like the beat didn't make sense for him to be on there. You know what I mean? It was like 808s and shit. Like it was just like an odd. It was an odd fit, certainly, you know.
That sounds weird. Like that whole cypher, like the people in there, that sounds weird. Like if this year the BT cypher came on and that was one of the groups, I'd be like, why is Cage here?
Yeah, no, it was weird. Yeah, like Mac Lethal, I mean, he did his thing. I'm not like a huge Mac Lethal guy, but like I like his videos and shit. Like, and like, yeah. I remember him, he's like a good freestyler and shit. Like back in his battles were pretty good back in the day. But like,
yeah, I remember.
But he was there. And he was he was just like rapping fast, like, you know, like a la Tech 9, like that style, you know, Midwest style.
Yeah.
And then like, and I mean, he did his thing. Like it was like, you know, it's just not my cup of tea, but like he wasn't rapping bad in my opinion. And then like Cage did exactly what you think Cage would do. He sounded cool. You know what I mean? He rapped his ass off. I don't remember anything he said, but it was dope. DJ Paul did exactly. DJ Paul is like the exact same on every track, and I mean that in a good way. Like, you know, like what you're gonna get out of DJ Paul. Yeah, like it's like, I wouldn't say he's ever like amazing, but he's like definitely like listenable every time, and like his production is crazy. I'm kind of mad that his production wasn't on this, because it would have made the most sense to have him.
Oh yeah, he's dope.
Because it would have been really dope if they had like some old school like Kill a Dude shit, like Memphis type beat, and they rapped over it, and then they threw Cage on it just because fuck it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Cage has dabbled with like horrorcore-ish elements, and you know, I guess a lot of his subject matters in the past have kind of been edgy, you know? So I could kind of see why he'd be invited to such an occasion. Just, I would much rather see a proper, like, if I had to pick a cipher that Cage would have to be a part of, imagine like a Dev Jux reunion.
Yeah. See, that's like something I would really be interested in seeing, and I think a lot of other people would too. It just, I mean, it makes sense from the because like there's a lot of songs, like especially from like movies for the blind, that you could consider horrorcore, even though they're not. They're just kind of terrifying.
Among the Sleep.
Yeah, like that song is terrifying. It's way scarier than any horrorcore I've ever heard, because it's like cerebral, you know, and like that whole like this happens, and then like it's kind of trippy, and you know, that was like the whole thing. I think he especially, I mean, he was like associated with smut peddlers and shit, so everyone's gonna think like people who listen to like horrorcore music would probably enjoy him, you know, for different reasons.
He did that Serbian film song?
Yeah, dude, that song's so good. He was like, I'm fly, I got moth eggs in my vocal cords. That shit sounds so hard, dude.
He killed that shit.
Yeah.
And then just some other songs where it's like just grimy and kind of the subject matter is kind of grimy or like fucked up, like Blood Boy, which a lot of people say is a reference to like, I don't know, it's metaphorical, but Blood Boy was tight on that Adult Swim compilation tape.
Yeah.
And then Ballad of the Worms.
Dude, that's a really I would never have thought about it, but it is kind of like a horrorcore song. I mean, it's very morbid.
It's like it's pretty morbid. That's what I mean. That's the word I was looking for. Morbid. He has definitely been morbid.
Yeah.
And even his last full LP had a bunch of, not a bunch, but a couple joints with morbid references here and there, a few bars.
Are you talking about Kill the Architect? Is that the last one?
Kill the Architect, yeah, because unless he has had a new one.
I don't remember anything from that album for some reason. Like,
oh man, there was a few really good joints.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the cover art was fucking crazy too. I love the cover art.
The Hunt was tight.
I don't remember that. I need to go back and listen.
If you have to go back, listen to The Hunt.
Maybe if there's like one thing I can pull that I really enjoyed from the Juggalo Cypher is that now I want to go back and listen to a bunch of old Cage records.
Whenever I want to hear Cage or get in the mood for some Cage, I listen to reports of a possible kidnapping.
Yeah, dude.
And
that's a crazy
just listen to those 3 verses and think to myself like, damn, this is it. This right here, this is it.
Yeah, that shit. That was like a very like, that pinpoints a very like certain time in my life listening to that.
Yeah,
and I feel like I was like late to the boat on that one because you were always like, yeah, dude, this song's fucking crazy, and I would be like, yeah, I'm gonna check that out, and then like I heard it like later than you did. And I was like, this song's fucking crazy. And then you looked at me like, yeah, like I've been telling you. You know what I'm saying?
It's kind of one of those songs where I listen to it and I'm like, God damn it. Like, we needed a record. We needed a full-on record of shit like this.
Yeah, I'm still like a loss for words of like why that didn't exist. I guess that's like a thing from like a lot of times like with indie rap, like it'll be like they'll get ideas and they're all like just normal people, and then like things get in the way of these things happening a lot of the times. You know what I mean?
It's just such a legendary record, and I feel like it's so slept on. Somebody got to make a music video, like an animated music video or something, you know?
Yeah.
But something to do it justice and put it out there, because I feel like that shit could blow up. That song is so good. Like not a single misstep on that record from any of the performers. Ace, L, and Cage all kill it respectively. I do think Cage comes out with the strongest verse, which again, what an insane feat, you know, to be on a joint with LP and Ace, and they're both on their A game, and you know, arguably outdo both of them.
Yeah, so, that's one thing that like I never thought I would say is like I would think, because I mean I really like Cage, but like L and Ace are like huge inspirations on like how I do things and shit, and like I went through like a considerably large phase of like listening to them like a lot, you know, and like
yes,
it's
sir.
crazy to think that, because I never like look at Cage as like being like a lyrical monster. It's more like a crazy, like he's good at like putting words together and telling a story and putting a picture in your mind. I never think about it like from a standpoint of like bars, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that in this particular instance, it was like he really like just he was on some shit, you know, and everybody else, and the thing that's crazy is that everyone else on that track was on some shit, you know, so
yeah,
it's like
nobody like for not a single wrong breath or anything, you know.
Yeah, it was just like the perfect. It's like the perfect indie rap song,
and even that mix is perfect. That it sounds so grimy but clean grimy.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that 2007 Def Jux quality, which in my opinion was peak Def Jux, because it just started feeling like, damn, they were really feeling themselves almost, you know?
Yeah.
Like they really know how like significant their roles are within the underground sphere of hip hop, and it just kind of felt like, damn, these are some titans.
Yeah. I think they all fell into their roles like very well. Like like they knew where they were, and I think that they had like a pulse on like how strong their words carried, you know, and
Yeah.
I really miss, like, if Def Jux were to get back together in some kind of way, I think I would cry. I don't think it's ever gonna happen. And I think most
Just
of the people,
song.
you know what's really funny?
What?
People from like outside of this would be like, two indie rappers reminisce over Def Jux for an hour. Like that's what it's gonna be.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're right. This is probably not what people would like to hear.
Nah,
so
dude.
Just in case,
fuck the people.
just in case you guys want some context on who we're talking about, so definitely do yourself a favor and look up the following 3 rappers. Aesop Rock, you might have heard of him, or at least seen his name being thrown around online. Not to be confused with ASAP Rocky. Shouts out to ASAP Rocky, also dope.
Dope
but
in a very different way.
very different way. Both New York, but very different way. Aesop Rock kind of came in into the underground scene in the 90s, and then started kind of blowing up early 2000s, mid 2000s with joints like Daylight, None Shall Pass. He is known for being very verbose. So the type of joints where you listen to them and you're like, damn, that was dope. I have no idea what he was rapping about. You play it back again, you start picking up on certain pieces and pieces of the puzzle, the lyrical puzzle. It's not necessarily that all of it is super... what's the word? It's not that all of it is super metaphorical or indirect. It's just that he's very good with words, and I think he selects his words very carefully. And sometimes a lot of the references seem quite personal, so they're difficult to sometimes break down, just because it's probably, I think I understand what that part is about, but that might just be some really personal inside joke he has with his homies, and I'm absolutely misreading it, So he's really great. He's considered an underground legend, and he's still killing it. Absolutely, he's been killing it his entire life. He recently, I say recently, man, time flies. A couple years ago, he came out with
Impossible Kid, or are you talking about
Impossible Kid?
Yeah.
Yes, Impossible Kid, which was fantastic. And then he's recently come out with a record with Tobacco from Black Moth Super Rainbow. They came out with their record this year, same time as we came out with New Moon, and their record is incredible. It's called
it's Malibu Ken.
Malibu Ken. Thank you. I'm really tired. Y'all gotta understand, we record these quite late my time after work. But that's besides the point. He's fantastic. Definitely look him up. He's great. He is a god. And then LP, y'all more likely to know LP than anyone else that we just mentioned, because LP is one half of Run the Jewels. But he was also part of Company Flow back in the 90s. He was already a legend. He established himself as a legend with Funk Crusher, the Funk Crusher record. He's worked with a bunch of underground legends, such as, Aesop Rock and everyone else in Def Jux. Cannibal Ox, The Cold Vein. That's another underground legend of a record that he helped produce entirely. So he's a fantastic producer and rapper. And if you like him from Run the Jewels, definitely look into his solo discography and just other stuff that he's done throughout his career. He's always been pushing boundaries, pushing the envelope. And then Cage is, again, another underground legend, but in a very different way. He, I think, was already making noise also early to mid 90s. He was kind of known for this crazy... saying just crazy wild shit, kind of like Redman, but more white person crazy type shit, I would say.
Yeah,
he's also from New York. All 3 of them are from New York.
I feel like he was the original crazy white boy.
He was the original crazy white boy, to the point where Eminem, when he was coming out and becoming bigger within the scene, thanks to the Bad Meets Evil EP and all that back in the day, that comparison between Cage and M was thrown around quite a lot. And Eminem mentions Cage quite a lot in his first few records.
Yeah, they did beef for a while. Yeah.
On Role Model, I think he says I put in Cage's tape and dubbed over it or something. I think he kind of acknowledges.
Yeah, he definitely dissed Cage on an industry a mainstream rap release. which it was his first one. Yeah, Role Model was on the first one, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy to think
LP.
of that Cage and Eminem beefed for some reason. That's like really weird in like retrospect to me, because you look at them in different spheres, even though like we had talked before that there's like actually like a what was it, the Ruckus Records tapes and shit that had like LP on them, and it also had Eminem. So it's like it's not that weird, but like from the sphere of like everyone knows who Eminem is, you know, he's like a mega star.
That's true. Eminem blew up, but he came from very similar underground circle of rappers that you'd associate together. Yeah, the Ruckus tapes, you know, you had people like Mos Def on it, you had people like LP on it, and you also had M on it, and he refers to that tape on the Stan record actually as Stan, which is kind of funny. And then he also battled Dose One at one point.
Is there a video of
Scribble
that?
Jam. There is a video of that, a Scribble Jam, and a lot of people to this day argue like Dose One should have won that. And if you go back and listen to it, I do think Dose One should have won that, but M also came through quite well. I think they both did well. And Dose One, for y'all who don't know who Dose One is, he ended up being one of the many founders of Anticon, which is another huge underground hip-hop label that helped inspire us and many others. Dose One is a legend. Shouts out Dose One. He's worked with Rekadam actually, so that's pretty crazy. Shout out Rekadam.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that shit. That's crazy.
And then some more fun stuff about Cage. So Cage, he's had a very interesting kind of career. He was known as this wild ass dude who would take all sorts of drugs, say all wild shit, and really knew how to ride a beat. Was really out there, had a colorful personality, and then he went through this weird transformation. 2006, 2007, grew his hair out a bit, stopped like taking drugs as much, and kind of his edge evolved into a different type of edge. It was almost kind of emo hip hop. At this point, he was a big inspiration to Kid Cudi, and then he ended up working with Kid Cudi.
That's a great song, dude. I love that song.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, whenever they've worked together in any capacity, it was just fantastic. They actually had a little film where they spoke French with each other, and they go in and killed a bunch of guys or whatever. I don't remember what it was about, but I remember that it was
some other weird shit. It's always some weird shit like that. Like,
and Shia LaBeouf directed it. Shia LaBeouf actually was a huge Cage fan, and he helped direct a couple of his music videos around that era too, which is another funny thing. Yeah, Shia LaBeouf was hanging out with Cage because he was a huge Cage fan. And if you watch Cage, I Never Knew You, I think, joint, at the start of the video, he's in the car with them. I think
well,
right.
I mean, wasn't there talk at one point where Shia LaBeouf wanted to play Cage in a biopic of him?
That sounds about right, and it's a shame it didn't happen.
Yeah, that was the thing, because like they were hanging out all the time. There's that video of them. I saw it on MySpace way back in the day. Wow, I sound fucking old.
Shooting skeet?
Yeah, shooting skeet, dude. And I was just like, this is a wild time. There's also that one, and then there's that video of them hanging out with that dude from that. It was like a hardcore band. I can't remember which one. You know which one I'm talking about, though. The big bald dude.
By the way, anybody who's just real quick from my street. People, when we say shooting skeet, we don't mean just like jizzing on each other.
Dude, that was happening in the video. I know, you know, they were just jizzing. Shia LaBeouf, he's got his dick out, he's jizzing, you know, he's doing it.
Actually, it was just that they were skeeting on each other. Yeah, I know the bald dude you're talking about, because then that bald dude was hanging out with Cage a lot. I think he was his like bassist or guitar.
Yeah, I think he was his bassist. He's from a band though, I can't remember which one. But
and remember that video where him, Ace, and Cage were like got high and built robots?
Yeah, dude, I forgot about that. My favorite of those videos, though, is the one where they get, like, super stoned and they go to, like, they're at a Subway and they are interviewing Cage, and he's just, like, the whole thing where he's, like, he holds a bag of Lay's potato chips in front of the camera, and he's like, "Hey, yo, Cage, why did you turn into a bag of baked Lay's potato chips?"
And then years later, when Def Jux was defunct, Def Jux, by the way, was the label that all three of these guys ended up being on later down the line. LP founded the label. He got off Ruckus Records. That was one of the early, indie hip hop labels that ended up kind of actually fucking most of their artists. He felt kind of bad about how everything went down, so he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna start my own label. So he did. He recruited a whole bunch of artists, Cannibal Ox, Aesop Rock, and way later Cage. So these dudes got together. Cage founded a super group called the Weathermen, and it had a bunch of people in it. It had Kamuteo, R.I.P. It had a bunch of the other Dev Jukes people aside from Aesop Rock LP, but that's for another day. And then not too long ago, a few years ago, he toured with Marilyn Manson. He was opening up for him.
That's a really good fit. That's like a really good fit.
Yeah, because Marilyn Manson is a huge Cage fan. So it's weird, like Cage has like fans within the industry from like all corners of the industry. And people know him within the industry, but he's definitely an outcast.
Well, I think the difference is now is like the way underground rap works now is totally different from back then, because like, okay, for example, like we could have like a certain amount of fans, right? Whereas there's like a cajillion other people who have the same amount of fans as us that are just out, you know, that are on the internet, and like everyone fucks with them or whatever. But back then it felt like it was harder for someone to garner attention without the internet, because we had the internet, but it wasn't quite the same kind of buzz. Like, you know, people didn't have Twitters and shit like that. Everyone had a MySpace page,
right.
And it was like kind of like you had to go out of your way to find people. And I think it was like a lot more like actual like brick and mortar, like we make a thing and we hand it to people. We go to a show, we hand them CDs kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that when people actually gained clout in that sounds funny saying it back then, but they gained clout back then,
yeah.
It was like people held these underground rappers so close to their heart because no one knew who they were. And I think a lot of these industry people like Marilyn Manson, he was like the type of person that would look for that, and he would hold that. And then he's, you know, he's a fan of Cage, and he's working with Cage, giving Cage a big opportunity to open in front of all these people, because I'm sure those crowds were enormous, you know. So
yeah,
bigger than he would have ever did on his own just doing rap shows, you know. I feel like it would have definitely been a bigger crowd, you know what I mean? So but
it's crazy to think though, like what if in an alternate universe, instead of M blowing up, Cage blew up instead, you know? Dre signed to Cage, and then M ended up being with Dev Jux.
That'd be real weird. The thing that's so weird is like, because like when I look at Eminem and I look at Cage, I think the difference is that I think Eminem has his shit, or had at this time period, he had his shit together way more than Cage did. Like from what it seemed,
definitely.
You know, because like you had like Eminem was fucking around on drugs, but he wasn't doing like mescaline and like all this crazy shit that no one was doing back then.
No, he was rapping about that kind of stuff, and that's why people were saying he was definitely biting Cage around the time, because he had that, oh wow, this crazy white person persona. But he was definitely more collected, and Cage had been buzzing for longer than M. You know, Cage had figured his own style out before M did, but when M finally figured his shit out around Slim Shady EP era, or just before that actually, he was already kind of known. He was an established act within the underground. It's not, people remember that Dre discovered M and brought him to the mainstream, but people knew him. Like, you know, college kids, a lot of college kids already knew about M, as I said, through Slim Shady EP, Bad Meets Evil. It's not like, oh shit, he just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he wasn't completely a nobody. Like, there was definitely like a cult following. Like, he was pressing records and shit.
Exactly. Yeah, they have vinyls already.
It was a different situation than what people think, I think, just listening to it. But I do say, going back to what you were talking about with Cage and Eminem, like if Cage were to blow up instead, like, dude, Cage would not have been able to handle that, okay, mentally, all right? Because Eminem is great for labels, because even though he did have a substance abuse problem, he seemed like he pretty much had his shit together. Like, it seemed like he would be in interviews and stuff, and he seemed like he was like, you know, somewhat media trained and could kind of like, you know, even though he was cheeky, he was still there, you know, like all there mentally and shit. But I feel like Cage would be the type of person that would like do fucking peyote or something and just like go out in front of all these people.
And he was just, for
he was
sure.
really,
and
you could tell like he was really going through some shit. I'm not saying like, oh, he was crazier than Eminem, but like it just seemed like...
No, but he was more aggressive too. Like, you know how M has like he had a good sense of humor to him, you know? So he'd go on shit and he'd be just goofy as hell. I feel like if Cage came on and somebody said something that he thought was kind of sideways, he like start something.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Cage was somebody who would start something, which I don't think he probably is anymore.
Cage seems like the type of dude that like he would be like a label executive's nightmare.
Definitely.
Imagine you being, because you know all these dudes who, especially back then, I feel like it'd be a bunch of dudes who didn't really listen to the music that they were promoting, but they saw that it was gonna move units. Like working with Eminem was probably already strange to a lot of these like old white dudes in suits, you know. But like imagine someone who's like actually living like that type of shit that they were rapping in a way that is like, okay, like, oh, it sounds crazy, but like no, it's actually crazy. Like it's fucking like detrimental to the people around you.
Definitely, especially because around that time people still weren't kind of used to this shock value kind of approach, because you got to think every other white rapper that tried to do it before them was coming from a different angle. They were coming from an angle of cool or rebellious, but cool, you know. So whether it was Vanilla Ice, you know,
when he had
like
his little turn, when he
had
did the
his
dreads.
little thing. There was no like, oh damn, Vanilla Ice fucking crazy, yo, fucking he take any drugs. No, that wasn't him. He was supposed to be the fly dude, right?
Yeah.
Which is hilarious looking back at it, but y'all just gotta take our word for it. That was his thing. And then the Beastie Boys, they were rebellious, young. It was like this punk attitude about them, but it wasn't that far away from what like Run DMC were doing, you know? It's just a bunch of young dudes wanting to have a good time. And then you have people like Cage and M come through out of nowhere being like fucking, you know...
Yeah.
Doing reckless shit.
My question is this, is like, okay, because I'm not really up on this, like, where did people like Necro fit into this timeline? Like, this was around the same time that like people like there was like a lot of dudes like Necro, Ill Bill.
Yeah.
Like Ill Bill was a little later, but I know like Necro was doing stuff in like the mid 90s.
Right.
And I would say that he was definitely like in the same vein as Cage. I mean, I don't like Necro as much as Cage personally, but like I think it was kind of the same kind of a, you know.
I'd be curious to see where a lot of that shit came from, like, because I'd be interested to trace all of it back. I'm sure 666 Mafia played a role in kind of opening the doors up to like this wild shit, and then Tech Nine was ahead of his time too, because he was also like, he was this dude who would be dyeing his hair and fucking rapping in really weird ways, and which is funny because like, you know, these days everybody's dyeing their hair, but back then the fact that he had red hair, that shit was like crazy. Like, damn, who is this dude? He's insane.
I feel like it was also like a bigger stigma just because he was a black guy. Like at the time,
that's true.
At the time, because you had like nu metal acts that were dyeing their hair doing crazy shit, but it was like, they're in a hardcore band or they're in a nu metal band or whatever. That's normal, you know. And then like,
it wasn't hip hop.
Like, I mean, like when you think about how against the grain, like you were talking about 3-6, like a 3-6 Bone Thugs, like that, like. You know, there was two different scenes, but they definitely shared some. They were all about occultist stuff and all the old like weird occultist imagery and stuff, and it was really dark.
Even the
and
style.
Like, the whole style, everything, like it all kind of, you know, like, which if we're gonna keep it a buck, that all came from Tommy Wright III, but y'all didn't hear that from me. But but like like that whole like satanic shit that they were doing, like I think probably had a bigger impact on dudes. Probably had a big impact on Tech, you know, because Tech, he incorporates a lot of those things that 3-6 and Bone Thugs were doing, like doing triplets and fucking more melodic stuff. You know, it's kind of clear that it's just like the next wave of that. you know, and
Right.
like, so then you had, and I feel like just from there, like, I know Necro was like, he was like hanging out with hardcore bands and shit, and I think it's just like any time when you have rappers around hardcore bands that are already into some kind of wild shit, they start doing that wild shit.
Yeah.
You know, that's just like how it is. And, you know, like, so, I mean, he was rapping about like smoking crack and all this crazy shit.
You know who I feel like might have the answers? No pun intended. Sway.
Sway would have the answer. Yeah, he actually
Sway would have the answers. And again, I don't know if our listeners are very familiar with Sway Calloway from Sway in the Morning on Shade 45, but he used to have his own show with Tech, so not Tech 9, but what was the full name?
I can't remember the guy's name. I know you're talking about.
But it was the Sway and Tech, the show, and it was kind of like the biggest hip hop radio show back in the day, and they would literally be interviewing everybody, and I think they were based in on the West Coast. Whatchamacallit, the Bay Area, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I know that. I don't know about Tech, but I know that Sway is from the Bay.
Yeah, Sway's from the Bay. And so they would interview everyone. You know, they interviewed M before he was big. They had Jay-Z over when he was like becoming big, and they had Tech 9 in there the same day.
That's crazy.
He just happened to come through, and it's like legendary. I gotta look it up. And you know, like they're trying to get, because Sway always get everybody to rap, and it was normal. You come in and you rap. That's why Sway still does the 5 Fingers of Death. Like Sway is one of the only rappers that. Sway is one of the only journalists or radio people that rappers know they have to rap for, you know? For other people, I think they can decline. I think Vince Staples said that he ain't never gonna rap for nobody unless it's Sway. You know?
Yeah, of course. Like, I think a lot of it is like, because like when it's with Sway, I think Sway is like a pretty genuine person. Like, it seems I've been following him for a while now, and he seems like a pretty really smart, knowledgeable dude who's like very good at his job. Like, I have a lot of like respect for him, you know? I look at like dudes, like I see like Funk Flex, like, and people will do
Flex, shout outs Funk Flex too. Yeah,
like you have like Funk Flex, like people do that, or like Tim Westwood, they'll have people come up through and do that. But like, I think Sway is like the quintessential, like, everybody. I used to listen to that shit on Shade 45 when I had it in my car. Like, it came with a year of XM, and so I used to listen to Shade 45 back when I was living in Colombia and shit. It was really cool to just be riding around and then like hear somebody like rap for like 6 minutes straight, you know?
Yeah.
And it was super tight. I actually think I heard the original, the Tyler the Creator one, when he does that funny ass freestyle.
Yeah.
I think I listened to that live. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's great. That shit was hilarious. But yeah, he just, I know this is hella ADHD, but the Tech 9 thing was really funny because Jay-Z didn't know who Tech 9 was or anything. They just like, they let him in. They started playing a beat, and Tech goes on first and just like kills it. Just like insane. And Jay-Z refused to go afterwards. And
I mean,
so that was pretty funny,
especially at the time, because like he was rapping like kind of like years ahead of that. You know, like there wasn't a lot of people who were doing all the like technical shit that he was doing at the time, you know, and it's kind of crazy to see somebody like Jay-Z actually feel like somewhat threatened by that. You know?
He was a young kid, too, at that time, and Jay-Z was already more of an adult. And I mean, y'all got to think, both Tech and Jay have been rapping for over 30 years now, which is nuts to say, but they were rapping late 80s, so it's now been 30 years. And man, like Sway would bring like all of these hip hop moments, and I lived most of them way after they had happened. As I was catching up on everything in the late 90s and early 2000s, that's when I was discovering all of that. But yeah, they you know, Sway and Tech did the whole fucking thing where they made a music video. I think it was the anthem, maybe? I don't remember what it was called, but they had Tech on it, they had M, they had Kool Mo D, I think, on it. They had what's that dude's name? They had like a bunch of rappers in this music video that they put together and everything, and before a lot of these guys were even like popular. So that was tight. They did shit like that.
That's crazy to think about.
And he had Idea and Slug on a couple times, and they actually had the other underground super group, and I forget the name because I'm fucking, as I said, like my mind, I'm just blanking today. But
underground
it's the one that was
group.
it was I think it was Blueprint, Aesop Rock, Slug, Idea, Murs, I think maybe too.
God, what is that called, dude? I know you're talking about, but I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, fuck, I forget who they was, but I think they had them one time, and they were all like freestyling together, and it was dope. It was great. Of course, Idea obliterated everybody, but because he's Idea. And that's for another day. Idea, R.I.P. Idea.
I gotta just point out while we're sitting here talking about it, this has been like, okay, we've had a lot of rapidy rap episodes. This has been the rapidy ass, most rapidy rap episode we've ever had, and probably will have right now. Like,
yeah, and most arguably suburban rapidy rap one too, because we definitely focused on a lot of that underground hip hop stuff that I think most of their audience happens to be college kids. Because I don't know, that's how it's usually the more tech savvy people would have access to the internet, so that's how they discover
Yeah,
them.
of course, especially back then, dude. Yeah, back then it was just like you had Napster and you were just like fucking clicking around.
Right.
What is this? Oh yeah, I played Tony Hawk. I've seen this name before. You know, like,
exactly. Yeah,
it's usually how that went down. You know, but yeah, this has definitely been the backpacker episode.
It has been. But these guys have inspired us a lot, and I think the common thread between all those people, and Idea is definitely one name that definitely belongs on that list, is that they were all incredible, and they were also different to, I think, what people expected hip-hop to be, you know? And I think now looking back at it, maybe they don't look as different, they feel like normal, but I think they're responsible for that. This current like era where they're partially responsible for people kind of accepting that, oh, you can be different, you can be, you know, doing some shit that might not at all feel like traditional hip-hop. But not only were these guys pushing the envelope, they were very personal and very poetic, very lyrical, and personal to the point where it's almost, I don't know, it would shock me as a kid. I would listen to them and I'm like, damn, like they talk about these things with such confidence. It made me feel like they were superheroes, and so I owe a lot to all of them that I am now able to write. I feel like with that same reckless abandon, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like it's like to say it's like those dudes were like a influence is kind of an understatement. Like it to me, I've always wanted in the back of my mind to be them. Like, not to be them personally and be in the position they're in, but I've always wanted to be looked at like one of those dudes.
Definitely.
It's weird because it's a business model that ultimately failed because like Def Jux fell apart for personal reasons or financial reasons. I don't know.
A combination of the two, probably.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, you know, but I'm sure it was a lot of work and it was a lot of stress on everybody, and especially then because there wasn't really a blueprint on like how to do things the right way or whatever, like that, you know, especially in rap. But I look at it like if anyone uses them as a comparison point for us, like, it makes me so happy. You know, like I saw that somewhere online, somebody had posted and they said that it's just like an updated or what is it, next wave Def Jux, and I was like, that's fucking crazy to read that.
You keep lying when you ought to be them. And you keep lying when you ought to be them. And you keep lying when you ought to be them. And you keep losing when you ought to not bet.
Let's go. Back in time like Jack's moving water X. Revisiting these butterflies and some side effects. But view and beauty line is sometimes important too. Some say the past exists only despite your future. What a distorted truth. I walk the graveyard to support and reinforce my views by fortitudes and virtues. All the cues I change according to and vice versa. Time moves with high inertia, so I immerse myself in fires on my prior purchase and splurge out on the present with subsequently acquired foresight. Some say that life's a bitch, they sort of right, it's known to bite, but it's also known to work and all is gone once life is ended. So maybe there might be some worth in trying to befriend it, but I digress. These raspberries in my mouth tasty. My life is a wreck, but fuck it, it don't faze me like but I digress. What's up, Kanye? supporting backlift. And I'm falling flat and contort my back. Cause it's like the spine from my mind sort of snap. If my conscience is the jury, then the core react. The fork and brass quick to reward this passion. And all of that mixed with his horrid fashion, in which I compound negative thoughts, distractions. Hope the chronic don't quit, but the pain just won't end like Sonic 06. Try to use logic when logic don't fit. A self-destructive narrative within logic don't stick. And I'm not sure what I hate worse, depression or how boring the whole fucking thing works. It feels like I've been cracked the fucking puzzle, so it hurts. Cause without its application, that knowledge is just a curse. But I digress. La da 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 da. These raspberries in my mouth tasty. My life is a wreck, but fuck it, it don't faze me. Like da 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 da. But I digress. And the thing is, you know what I think partially what inspired me is that a lot of those guys came from a background where they recorded shit not professionally either. So it kind of made it feel like they were closer to me as a listener than some of the like really polished music. And nowadays I feel like our sound is really clean and definitely, you know, sometimes very dope and professional. But overall, there's just, you know, like when Aesop Rock first came out, his first 2 records, I think he recorded them when he was in college, and it kind of shows, you know.
Yeah, it definitely has like it has like a very grimy, like underground. I don't know if grimy is the right word, but like it's very underground.
I don't know if grimy is the right word, but it has this kind of, I don't know, rudimentary kind of appeal to it, and it's cool because then it makes you feel like, oh shit, I could do something like that if I were talented. One
of the funniest things ever, there's this podcast for everyone who doesn't know, I think it's defunct right now, but it's Open Mike Eagle had a podcast called Secret Skin where he would like psychologically or psychoanalyze people, like rappers and stuff like that, and also just like hear, like, you know, get them to talk about like sometimes deeper things than the average interview would be. And Ace had an episode on there, and so Aesop
love that
Rock,
episode.
I love it so much. But him talking about, one of the things that's so funny is like him talking about when he first started recording, and he learned that he could overdub, and then he was like, okay, now I gotta overdub everything, and he's just like, okay, now it's like everybody's doing it, like we're overdubbing. Now it's like everyone's overdubbing
Kentucky
just the last
overdubbing.
word. Yeah, right. They're dude, I'm not gonna edit that out either.
I know. I remember what you're talking about. And Open Mike Eagles, like, why did people think overdubbing everything was so cool? Like, why were we doing that?
Yeah, or like cut-ins. Or punch-ins.
Or, punch-ins. Yeah.
Yeah, like that was like a big thing. I hate punch-ins now, like unless they're like just at the end of the bar or something. But I
don't hate other people doing punch-ins because I know I've definitely heard Killer Mike do a lot of punch-ins in his stuff, and I feel like it works. Just for myself personally, I do like to carry my verse from the first word to the last by myself, and if I can, then the whole song as well, just press record once. I've seen during the recording of Ramona, Bill would have 3 verses. He'd hit record and try to record in one go all 3 verses. Does the verse, you know, stays quiet during the hook, maybe like mumbles to himself or sings along, goes in on verse 2, goes in verse 3, fucks up one word towards the end, like fuck, and redoes the whole thing again. And
yeah,
then
that's something
it.
I've always done. I don't know why, dude. It pisses me off. Look, now I'm not as bad. Like now I'm like, I want to get the whole verse out in one go, you know, unless it's like something like obviously like supposed to be different there, you know, like a different tone of voice or whatever. But like I was recording a song earlier today, and like I did the hook. And like for whatever reason, like I did the hook and I did the verse, and then like instead of just copying and pasting the hook over, I was like, I want to do it again. And I was like thinking like, why? It's gonna sound like the exact same. And I was like, nah, I'm gonna do it. And I literally did it until I got it all right. Like it's fun. I don't know why. Like it's like some kind of weird OCD completionist bullshit that like I have to do. but I do like
It works.
to do it. I think it's different. It's different when I'm recording with people though. Like now, I feel like if I'm recording with other people in the room, I want to like do it as fast as possible instead of like,
Gotcha.
you know. And so if I fuck up, I can find a point where I can punch in again. You know.
But the cool thing is because you've sort of made a habit of recording that way. You've, in a way, not intentionally, but kind of prepared yourself for doing shows. Because, you know, at a show, you're not really going to get an opportunity to redo the verse. You can technically punch in, you know, if we're performing together.
Yeah.
I can kind of pre-agree with Bill. As he's rapping, I can kind of tell when he's like, oh, he's exerting himself a lot here. Let me take the next couple of words, give him a chance to breathe in, and then he can come back in.
Yeah.
So there is always that, but still.
I think no matter what though, my live shows are gonna be kind of sloppy, just because like that's the energy and we're like jumping around a lot. I like that. I like that more than it. Like I look at shows now where I'm like, I've seen people who like they never miss a word, and it's like really dope. It takes a lot of skill and effort and practice to do that, you know. But then like I look at like our set from Cali and just how fucking like I was getting out of breath jumping around, fucking I was missing words left and right, and that shit still was like going off, dude. It was so much fun.
That shit was so
like,
lit. Even on the saddest fucking joints, I think the saddest joints actually banged the hardest. Like that's where everybody was jumping the hardest.
Well, that was the thing is like fucking I couldn't wait until we did Raspberries, because like I've just taken it upon myself to be the guy that yells on Raspberries for no reason. Like it's such a chill song, and then I'm in the background, these raspberries in my mouth, tasty.
Yo, that shit was so much fun.
I don't know where that started, but it just feels right, you know. So.
It definitely felt right. This shit was tight. And you know what? I think let's give ourselves some credit compared to a lot of our contemporaries and just rappers in general. We do well with remembering our lyrics, especially because you got to remember our set was over an hour long.
Yeah, we went for like what, 113 or something. It was a long
and we
set.
don't do and it wasn't a very hook heavy set either, you know. Sometimes it was just verses.
And that last verse I did cult, and it was such a long verse, dude.
It was.
Oh my
and you
god.
nailed it though.
Oh my god, it was great. It was fun, but I remember being like, I was like punching myself in the face. Like I picked the wordiest song to do as the outro. And
one of my first songs was Good Night, and I felt exactly the same way because it was 42 bars or something like that, just straight verse.
Oh man, that's rough.
And I was just like, why am I doing that? Halfway, like I'm like halfway in, I'm like, wait, why this? Why was this one of the first joints I wanted to do on a beat that I have never recorded on?
It's weird, dude. Like there's certain songs that I would think would be harder to perform, like songs that have like double time in them. You think would be harder. I think double time is mad easy to perform because it's like so choppy. It's like you know, it's like really like you know where your mouth is going constantly. Well, yes, homo.
You just gotta not do. You just gotta pause. No, you just gotta not do the Iggy Azalea thing where.
That. We don't have to go in further into detail. They know. Yeah. I'll put a clip in there. I think one of the hardest songs for me to perform is my verse on Abandoned 2. I don't know why. It's like it's really wordy and it's like hard on. It's like okay, I do this thing.
It's tongue twisty a bit.
Yeah, and like one thing is like when I start rapping, it's fine, but after I've been rapping for a little bit, it feels like my mouth physically gets tired, and like it's easier for me to slip up. And the difference is if you slip up on a song that's like a catchier type song, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, you can just kind of pick up from where the crowd's at or, you know, wherever you're at. But like that song is like just really wordy. There's no like hook per se. It's just kind of like, you know, like it's a harder one to perform in my opinion.
Yeah. But still, it's tight. And it was, I feel like it was such a good performance overall. It was such a good time. I remember when Matt, fucking dropped his cards, like his fucking wallet flew out with all the cards.
Oh yeah,
he was
shit.
Scrambling on the floor trying to pick them up, and everybody else was just jumping around. That shit was tight. I could see Ryan in the back. I wish I I wish I was more sober after the show. I think I was just so lit. And
Well, people
we
were. I remember this is one point when you were talking about being sober. I remember I was so thirsty. Like through the whole show, I was so thirsty, and I kept being like, "Yo, someone bring me some water," and no one brought me any water. And then someone eventually brought me this tiny little cup of water, and I drank it. And I was so thirsty. I was like, "Can somebody please get me some water?" And someone came over with like a half drunk Modelo, and I was just like, "Fuck it," and just drank after this fan. I probably got fucking AIDS or some shit.
Yeah, that shit was great. But also we were like signing people's shit and like doing photos and collecting our show money and hitting blunts. I think that's the last time I'm gonna.
You make it sound like we were like, yeah, we were doing photos, collecting the dough, hitting blunts, big blunts.
I get pulled one moment, I'm signing somebody's wallet. The next moment, I get pulled to the side to be given money. Next moment, I get pulled onto the side to hit a blunt.
Yeah,
next moment,
yeah.
and then us, the EXO boys, and like all the homies of EXO, and Matt, and
the whole gang. It was a lot.
The whole squad. The whole squad came through. We went to eat, I remember, and I was so blasted. And I wish I just kind of spent more time talking with people individually. I think I just ran around trying to give everyone a little bit of attention. But the whole show.
Yeah, it felt very like it was a good feeling. Like everyone was coming up and saying what's up and stuff, and it was really chill and shit. But there's this one thing that even in the Discord, I feel like this sometimes. Like I feel like overstimulated. And I'm like sitting there like, who do I talk to? Who do I talk to? And then it becomes like when I'm talking to that person, I'm thinking about I need to go talk to this person too. And so then I'm like sitting there just like, yeah, man, blah, 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 you know? But like it was really cool to like hang out with people, especially people who have been fans for a long time. Like, I mean, like, shout out like Tristan and like Danny and all them who like came out. Like that shit was like really cool.
I just felt bad that like you were gonna head to the airport soon, so I had to like take peace and then catch an Uber with Matt and the gang and head over to Matt's house.
This dude came up to me too, right? And he had what was it? Moon rocks, right? And he like had DM'd me on Instagram and was like, I'm bringing you moon rocks. I work at a dispensary. And I was just like, okay, cool, you know? And like I didn't think about the fact that like I had to be on a plane in 6 hours, you know? Mm-hmm. And then he comes over and he's like, yo man, I got you these. And I was like, shit, I can't take them like with me, you know? And he was just like, oh man, well, you know, they're yours. You can have them, like do whatever you want with them. And Arrow came up to me and just was like, yoink. And just like, took them. Yeah, but then the dude smoked us out. Like he had a wood with moon rocks in it. And so we smoked that. And then I don't think you were over there for that. Like it was just me and Jordan and I think Eric. Shout out Eric and Jalen for helping set that whole thing up.
Yeah, shout out both of them. It was tight. Just a couple more things about the show. One of my favorite like parts of the show. First of all, shouts out to me for getting them to turn the lights off. I didn't even know if they could do that. Yeah,
it was a vibe when we got the lights off.
I was just like, can we get the lights off? And they like went. I don't know who was by the switch, but they came through.
Yo, one of my favorite things is if you watch the video, you say like, can somebody dim the lights? And I was like, I don't think they got dimmer switches in here. Like I say that like I was like my dumb ass didn't just think about like cutting the lights off. Like I was like, I don't think you can just dim them.
I don't think you can dim them, Raph. Well, yeah, because I was just like,
there's
maybe
only
they can
on
cut
and
some
off, Raph.
I think I was trying to be polite, you know, but one of my favorite parts throughout the whole show is whenever like the beat would cut out, like or the beat would end and we'd still be rapping or whatever. Like that intimate moment where everybody goes quiet and everybody's just looking at you. And you're just like saying those lines, like, you know, on like Hypocrisy when I was doing the double time, or like, the Good Evening Melancholy thing that I do at our shows.
Yeah.
I really enjoy those moments. Just kind of like it feels so intimate, and it feels like this is what I wrote this shit for. You know, it's like a connection.
Yeah, definitely. It's really cool when the music comes off. My favorite moment of the show though was definitely at the end of Cult when I was like, because like just for full disclosure for people, like we had never premiered that song before. That was like the first time we did that song. It wasn't out yet or anything. It was actually on a different beat and everything. I think I might still use that beat to perform live just because it'd be cool. But like, the ending part where I was just like talking about boy, they just like me who want to join my cult, and then like I kept saying it, and then like people started getting louder and saying it with me, and then like we were yelling it together at the end, and I felt like so like one with everybody else there. The shit was so much fun.
Yeah, it was magical. So I really look forward to us touring again. Not touring. I look forward to us hopefully touring sometime, but I look forward to us doing shows again because
yeah, definitely.
It's always a good time.
Leave a comment where you guys are and tell us if you'd like us to perform there, because that would be a cool thing to know, you know. So leave a comment.
Yeah, for sure. We'd like
and don't
to
forget to
gauge.
subscribe and hit the bell and
Swell.
hit the bell and swell.
And hit the bell and swell and the like as well and the comment and favorite and a heart,
Reblog,
a retweet, reblog.
What else? Post to Reddit. Is that it? What's the word for posting on
download.
Reddit? Posting? Is that what they call it? Posting?
Is that what the kids call it these days? Posting?
Well, it's like all you kids and you're tweeting and you're Facebooking and you're Redditing.
Fucking kids.
I've never used Reddit in my life.
I'm not very good with Reddit.
I mean, I have a
myself.
Reddit. I have an account, but I would just post music there, and then every time I would post
Did you see?
it.
There's a We Don't Suck Reddit.
Oh yeah, there's a subreddit for We Don't Suck. That's just crazy. I don't know who made it, but it's like really well done. So shout out to them.
Yeah, thank you for that. We appreciate it. Also, one thing we didn't talk about, but fun fact, I gave in my notice of resignation a few days ago. So it's a 4-week notice at my company, but I'm finally leaving my job. We could talk about it next time, why I did it and how I came to that conclusion ultimately. So I look forward to discussing that with y'all next time. But right now, it's time for an ad.
Yay!
Hit me with that big ad, Bill.
All right, Rav, I got a couple of questions for you. And when I say a couple of questions, I mean one.
Oh, shit. I'm ready for both of one.
Have you ever wanted to scratch your taint, but yet your arms are much too small and flimsy?
On occasion.
Well, boy, do I have the product for you. Introducing the Wrigley's Taint Scratcher. Now, let me tell you how this works, okay? Because it's a very sophisticated product invented by the Japanese in 1420, but they've kept it under wraps because the world wasn't ready for it. So, you sit in a chair, okay? It comes with a chair. All right, it looks like an electric chair.
But it ain't, but
It's
it
not,
looks and
it's not.
operates exactly like an electric chair.
It can, if you plug it in, it could be, it could be. But
Right.
anyway, so you sit there and there's like a little hand on the bottom, and it looks like a gas pedal, and you pump it like a brake, you go shh, you go shh, that's the sound it makes shh, and then the hand comes up and just scratches your taint for you, and it feels good, you're like, ooh, it's kind of itching, and then you're like, and you don't have to do it because then you do it, then like, what if you've got taint sweat? Then your hands are tainted with taint sweat, and so you got this other thing that'll do it, and then all you gotta do is just spray that bitch down with Lysol or whatever you use to clean it, and you're good, So, at the end of the day, itchy taint, yan't, So let's talk about
an itchy taint.
Let's talk about your the technology, Rav. You got a lab coat.
Honestly, I have no idea how the technology works. I'm illiterate. I just got myself one of the products and I was like, damn, I want to itch my taint, but but I don't want to use my handos. And so...
Is that Spanish?
Yeah, dude.
Shit.
Yeah, dude. Fuck, I'm cultured. I'm cultured, y'all.
Shit, dude.
Did it really have to take us 20-something episodes for y'all to realize?
You quit your job and then all of a sudden you know Spanish, dude? Something's going on with you, buddy.
Absolutely, man. Yup. I came in, that bitch was like, here's my notice-o. And they're like, damn, son, where'd you find this?
And they look at you and you just like, gordita. And then like...
Gordita. Yeah, and they're like, damn. Oh, I want to be mad at him, but he's so cultured. Shit.
Shit, man. Dude, I want to be smoking on that gordita, you know what I'm saying?
So honestly, who cares about the technology? If it works, don't fix it. If it works, don't look into how it works. Einstein said that.
Yeah, he did say that right before he died.
But don't fact check me, because Einstein wouldn't want you to do that.
Yeah,
so,
dude. He says think for yourself, dude. He said Google's bullshit.
He says don't use logic, fuck logic, use your gut.
Yeah, dude.
What else? So thank you, Wrigley's.
Wrigley's, you make good gum. You make sure my taint is yanked.
The yaint taint. Wrigley's yaint taint.
Dude, did you just name it that? Because that was a patent pending on that name.
I'm just reading my gut.
That's sick, dude. You should read mine too. It has many stories to tell you.
Yeah, but that's for another day. Hey, Bill.
What's up?
Did you see how I just transitioned out of that ad?
Dude, don't tell the people how you do it, but like seriously, how'd you fucking do that?
So, Bill, is it true that you make a bunch of Garfield references in your music?
Yeah, dude. Can't stop doing it. We can't stop.
Can you do one now?
Yeah, dude. All right, check it out. You know how you know if a chick wanna fuck you? If you look like John Arbuckle. If you... John Arbuckle. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Damn.
You ever just be wondering like how rappers get away with rhyming shit that don't even sort of rhyme, like fuck you and John Arbuckle?
It can work if you like do the mouth maneuver.
You know, mountain rhymes with ocean.
Oh god.
We got a mountain and the ocean.
Don't get me started.
Dude, you know what rhymes with oranges?
4 inches.
Free Palestine.
One up in their bongs, got a bitch who wanna fuck with me. Tryna sing my songs, words slurred cause she dumb tipsy. Straight bummy OJ's worth $1.50. Kush up in my lungs, OJ up in the cup, pissy. Fuck with me, suits tryna milk me for my talent till they done with me. Done tryna suck up all these nutrients, these crumbs give me. Listen to my catalog and lie like you don't fuck with me. Build this fucking city from the ground up. Weeds in my circle get jumped, that's a roundup. Stay puffing gas, if I don't I get wound up. The top gets lonely, little homie, but the ground sucks. I can fuck around and kill a guy. Rappers tryna reach up on my toes, but the ceiling's high. A&R discussions all up in your fucking feelings. Why I gave my son's life and I asked him, do you really try? Maintain. Call the plug, blow the fucking mainframe. I ain't even talking shit, boy, it's all the same thing. Oh, I'm about to hit a lick, click, click, bang, bang. Who the